And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
That was the infamous moment that happened on Saturday during Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's amazing to me that his last words could have been, if you want to see something really sad. Incredible footage coming out, incredibly lucky, and I view what happened to Donald Trump Saturday as only one thing: intervention by God. I can't explain it any other way, and because of that, I've asked my pastor, Pastor Alan Jackson, to join me this morning and to kind of get a little instant reaction from him. Pastor, thanks for joining us.
My privilege, Chris. Thank you.
What did you think when you saw what happened on Saturday?
Well, I agree with you. I think we all saw the sovereign intervention of God. I mean, I keep touching my ear and thinking, how difficult would it be from 10 feet to shoot my ear and nothing else? And who would I trust to do that? And the answer is no one. And so, I mean, so many factors. If Mr. Trump had turned his head in a slightly different angle, if the wind had been a little different, I mean, it's unimaginable, the tragedy that was possible. And what God spared us, spared the whole nation. However you feel about Mr. Trump, an assassination would have been very difficult to overcome right now. So I think we all experience God's mercy.
Yeah, I completely agree. It looked to me as nothing short of divine intervention. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on today is I think that for me, at least in times like this, I turn to prayer. I don't get angry at this kind of stuff. And in fact, with the events of Saturday, I think grateful is actually one of the words I would use to describe my mood. And I was hoping that you could open the show for me and lead us in a prayer, not only for President Trump, but for the nation.
Absolutely. I think it's important, Chris, we pray not just for Mr. Trump and the election, but that we pray that the truth will be told.
Amen.
There's a series of events that have been happening now for a number of years, and we need the truth to be told plainly and clearly so that everybody can see.
I completely agree.
But I'd be honored. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you that we witnessed your sovereign intervention, Lord, that we can watch the tape and realize that you showed mercy to all of us by sparing us the tragedy of an assassination. Lord, I thank you for that. I pray that as we proceed through this election year and cycle, that we will have an election that is fair and above board, that all who watch will have a sense that it was conducted with integrity. An integrity, Father, perhaps we didn't even understand was possible. We ask you to intervene in state after state and community after community. We thank you for it. Lord, give us leaders who fear your name, from the lowest offices to the highest offices, so that decisions might be made that would bring your blessings to our nation once again. We thank you for your faithfulness. Awaken your people. May we choose the truth over our comfort and convenience. And may we be reminded that there's a God in heaven who watches over all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. I really appreciate you taking some time out this morning to help me open the show this way.
Thank you. Keep telling the truth.
Hey, I'll do my best, sir. I appreciate you.
All right. Bless you. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. That's Pastor Alan Jackson out of World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro. Great guy. And I think that's really needed right now in this country. Just a little bit of prayer. And I mentioned on the phone with Pastor Alan, a lot of people turned to anger. A lot of the left turned to anger. They were upset that the shooter missed, which is just mind-blowing. Because I have a hard time believing that conservatives would have taken the same route had that happened to Joe Biden. But we have to keep praying. We have to pray for the country. We have to pray for the families that were affected by that shooting. A man died, a Trump supporter died, and all he wanted to do was go to the rally with his daughters. It's unbelievable. Corey Compertori, they've opened a GoFundMe for the victims and their families. They had a goal of $1 million. It's up to $3.7 million now, and it's good to see. It is good to see people respond and people step up and people want to help. But for all that we're seeing there, we're seeing the exact opposite on the other side. Trending on Twitter was, you missed. How did he miss? How did he miss?
Disgusting.
Disgusting. Vile. Evil. We shouldn't be wishing violence on anyone. Trump himself said in an interview with the Washington Examiner, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And if it wasn't for divine intervention, I don't know if he would be here. So the thing was, he called up a graphic on the screen a little bit earlier than he was supposed to in the lay of the speech. And because of that, he had turned his head to the right to view the graphic, to reference the graphic. And had he not turned his head to the right, today's radio broadcast would be incredibly different. And Donald Trump said himself, the most incredible thing was that I happened to not only turn, but to turn at the exact right time and in just the right amount of time. He said that Sunday afternoon. He's on Trump Force One, and he's heading to Milwaukee, and he's giving this interview, and he says, if I only half turn, if it hits the back of the brain, the other way goes right through the skull, and because the sign was high, I'm looking up, the chances of my making a perfect turn are probably 0.1%, so I'm not supposed to be here.
There's pictures online, like on Twitter and stuff, about like where the bullet would end up if he did not turn, and that's just a horrifying image.
You can find, there's tons of images coming out. They're all on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we move forward this week. There's reports that he's completely scrapped his RNC speech, that he views this as a moment where he can really zone in on unity. And maybe for a majority of the country he can, but there's a group in this country that wish the shooter connected, and it's vile. It's evil. It's evil. And here we are trying to pick up the pieces and figure out what happened. And there are a lot of red flags. A lot of red flags. Currently, the media is taking the route of trying to blame Trump for the rhetoric that got him shot, that led to an attempted assassination. They're blaming Donald Trump's rhetoric, which is amazing to me, because I'm old enough to remember Dan Goldman saying Trump should be eliminated in 2023.
It's just unquestionable at this point that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
He has to be eliminated. I'm also old enough to remember tweets from Joe Biden going back to 2022. Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our democracy. Trump poses many threats to our country. Donald Trump is a genuine threat to the nation. Those are from Joe Biden's Twitter account, his personal Twitter account. But the left is going to try and blame Trump for the rhetoric. They're going to blame Trump for the rhetoric, which is miss me with that. George Stephanopoulos and Martha Raddatz were literally talking on ABC over the weekend, and quite frankly, they were blaming Trump.
And also, George, we have to point out, no matter who the shooter, what the shooter's motives were, no matter who the shooter is, you are going to hear conspiracy theories going forward.
No question about that. But as you point out those statements from J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
We've contributed to the violent rhetoric.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
So Martha Raddatz goes on there and she just pushes more hoaxes and more out-of-context clips. She went back to the bloodbath hoax. Martha Raddatz and George Stephanopoulos should never work in news again.
How do you do that so quickly afterwards? Like, you can't take a day.
Garbage people. Garbage people. And if you think they're bad, CNN, immediately after Trump has been shot, they say, well, you know, when he got up on stage, he really shouldn't have said fight.
I do want to say there was one thing that when I watched the tape, I found odd because of all of the heated rhetoric. And that is that after he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, fight, fight, fight. I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
Oh, I know you just got shot in the ear and there was an attempted assassination on your life, but try and tone it down, Mr. President. That's CNN in the direct aftermath of the shooting. This is after they acknowledged finally that it was an attempted assassination. At first, it was just pops. It was just pops. Then it was, oh, he fell on the stage. There's numerous left-wing media organizations that were putting out headlines. Oh, Trump fell. Trump fell.
I couldn't believe it.
CNN in the immediate aftermath said they perceive that there's a threat, but there isn't one. Oh, okay. And this is Donald Trump's fault, mind you. Donald Trump did this. And all these leftists are tripping over themselves to point the finger back at Donald Trump and say, you caused this. Jen Psaki is one of those people.
Jen, in fact, we've already seen the finger pointing begin. Some people even blaming President Biden. We heard that very forceful condemnation by President Biden of what happened. As someone who used to work with the president, what are you anticipating in terms of, he's obviously pulled his political ads forward, but as Carol said, the question is, how long does this moment last? And how do you think he sees his role right now?
I mean, I think his role, I'm betting that how he responded was as a human being, which is how we just saw Lindsey Graham at moments during that interview and Senator Sanders and Senator Coons respond. That's how everybody should be responding. For anyone out there who has a platform, who thinks the moment right now is to be political and attack the other party, you are feeding into the danger. You are making it more likely there's retaliation. I'm incredibly scared. I'm scared for journalists. I'm scared for people who have public platforms of all parties, and that's how people should feel. So for President Biden, I mean, Senator Coons mentioned he was in church. He's somebody who's very prayerful. He is somebody who attends church. I think he probably is relying on that. And in this moment, I think his instinct would be not to be political. And you just take it day by day. That's where he would be. I mean, he has a huge interview tomorrow, and the moment there is not to talk about the political path forward. It is to be a healer and to lower the rhetoric and the tenor in the conversation in the country.
Yeah, you got to lower the rhetoric. Joe Biden needs to be a healer. Joe made several comments over the weekend, and I think he viewed it as a chance to be presidential, at least appear that way. But he never took responsibility for his own actions in ramping up this rhetoric. He never took ownership of what he's done to ramp up this rhetoric. He didn't. He just says we need to cool it. We need to cool it. We have so much more reaction on the way. The Secret Service, they are under a microscope this morning, and rightfully so. The red flags that could have been pointed out by someone not trained to do that job that were missed, unfathomable. Unfathomable. We'll get to all of this and more, plus your calls at 615-737-9986. It's 921 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. You never know what is going to be happening in this country, but you can at least put peace of mind in your future financially. And one of the ways you do that is you link up with a great financial planner like I did. And the one I recommend is Paul and his team at Paul Winkler, Inc. You know Paul. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show here every Saturday from 3 to 6, appointment listening. We may have broken into that show on Saturday and stole a little bit of his airtime, so maybe he'll get some more next weekend. But But you may not know that he started that show after studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's pretty cool. And Paul's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So my wife and I, we work with Paul. We wanted to work with him before I got the gig here. And when I did, it was just such an easy choice because his firm holds themselves the highest level of fiduciary status that they can. Paul wants to make sure I tell you I get paid to do these commercials. He wants the transparency and the honesty. I like that. Where else do you hear that? And I also like that Paul's team does nothing on commission. That's huge for me. The other part that I really value is the education, because when I linked up with Paul, I was financially illiterate, but Paul's team educates you every step of the way, so you never get an uneasy feeling of blind trust. They're going to help you make some decisions, set you up for the future, but you need to set up a 15-minute phone call today to get the ball rolling. Go to paulwinkler.com, set up your phone call right now. That's paulwinkler.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, good news, drivers north of Nashville. They have just cleared that crash 24 westbound there in Jolton. Got major new developments in the classified documents mishandling case against former President Trump, and the latest on what we've learned about the assassination attempt coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to the classified documents update. I'm seeing what's happening on the internet right now, and it's ablaze. It's going to be a good newscast with Ken Weaver on the way. Also today, MSNBC pulled Morning Joe from the air for their regularly scheduled programming. You know, it's amazing to me because they keep saying that it's the Trump side, the conservative side, that have ratcheted up the rhetoric. Yet here's a major left-wing media outlet saying, I don't know if we can trust one of our main shows to go on the air today. Could it be, perhaps, that the rhetoric that they espouse on a daily basis contributed to this? Maybe.
Joe is an upstanding guy. He's not totally biased at all.
A person familiar with the situation told CNN that MSNBC canceled the Monday morning broadcast to avoid a scenario in which one of the show's stable of 24+ guests might make an inappropriate comment on live television that could be used to assail the program and network as a whole. They understand what their anchors are doing on the air. They understand the kind of rhetoric that they're pushing out there, and they made a calculated decision today to not allow that to move forward. So when they blame us for the rhetoric, I haven't heard of any conservative anchors being pulled from the air today because they're nervous about what they might say. Anybody else hear about any conservative anchors being pulled from the air today? Huh. Weird. On the way, we do have audio from Joe Biden. Joe Biden using this opportunity to try and look as presidential as he can. He may be even luckier than Trump today because Joe Biden has officially quelled all the noise of him being replaced. That is a dead story today in the light of the assassination attempt on the former president. That story has gone away. It has gone away. It's incredible what we witnessed over the weekend. Incredible. And it's incredible to hear the president go up there and say, we got to tone down the rhetoric, not accept any responsibility. It's incredible when we hear about the failures of the Secret Service and more. And we're going to cover all of that after Ken Weaver's newscast, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now, the Trump assassination attempt update in a moment. First, though, the federal judge in the classified documents mishandling case against former President Trump dismissing the charges. Judge Eileen Cannon ruling that the special counsel Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. Now to Brian Clark with the latest on the attempted assassination.
The Secret Service says it's increased security around former President Trump ahead of the Republican National Convention, which begins in Milwaukee today. But were requests for more security before Saturday's shooting rebuffed by the Department of Homeland Security? Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas tells ABC,
we had enhanced security for the former president beginning at least in June. We have not received any requests for additional security measures that were rebuffed. That assertion is unequivocally false.
He said the main question is how the gunman had a clear line of sight to Trump, and that is a focus of an investigation. Meanwhile, the probe into the 20-year-old shooter continues. The FBI believes he acted alone, but has not determined a motive for the shooting. It left a 50-year-old in the crowd dead and 2 other spectators hurt.
And this just now coming in, Politico is reporting that the Secret Service is giving a private briefing to Congress this morning. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics, for real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests, organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice.
Right.
And now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
Honestly. And they did on Saturday. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. 9:37. They tried to kill Trump on Saturday. They tried to kill Trump. Now, whether this is a deeper, sinister conspiracy, which Lord knows I hope it's not, or it's a lone wolf actor, you can point this back to the Democrats and say it was your rhetoric that ratcheted this up. You guys caused this. And the failures of the Secret Service left this wide open. Wide open. NBC reported that the roof was a well-known and high priority.
New information for you. A senior Secret Service source familiar with the planning of yesterday's event tells NBC News that the roof where the shooter was located was a well-known, high-priority vulnerability. It was identified just the day before during a security walkthrough. We've also just learned that there were 2 counter-sniper teams on site and that the counter-sniper did not need approval to shoot. One source telling NBC News that prior protocols were not followed. The FBI now says the alleged shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, appears to have acted alone. This all provides new context for the shocking scene last night in Butler, Pennsylvania, already burned into our collective conscience.
So they knew the roof was an issue. Well, again, anybody that's watched any kind of military movie could have told you that roof was an issue. You don't even probably have to watch a military movie. It was the only roof around. And for 3 to 4 minutes, witnesses are telling police and Secret Service there's a guy scaling that roof with a gun. 3 or 4 minutes.
I saw it for 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, like you were talking about in that BBC interview. There was 20 Secret Service agents running around like chickens with their heads cut off in that field. And you're telling me snipers on the barn can't see this guy 100 yards? Doesn't add up to me.
No, it doesn't add up to me either. He's not the only witness that said that.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seen a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them. And when I turned my back is when the shots started, and then it took me a second or two to figure out exactly what it was. And then it was just getting out of there and helping some other person out with her child, and we got out, and that was the end of that, and I went and left, and that was all.
3 to 4 minutes. 3 to 4 minutes. And I've seen this post circulating around online, and it's from 4chan, and it's allegedly one of the snipers saying that he was given a stand down order to shoot. I would caution against believing that until he releases a video himself, and we can actually confirm that that's him. If you don't know what 4chan is, it's an anonymous message board that is used for lots of discussions from sports to politics, and it's been circulating and going viral. People have sent it to me a bunch of times. A post where it says, "I was the sniper, and I was told, don't engage." Essentially. I would caution against buying into that until we have video confirmation from that sniper. But there's going to be a lot of theories going around. But the thing that you can't argue is that there's one roof with a direct line of sight to the president, 140 yards, 130 yards, and they let the guy get shots off.
Multiple, like not just 1 or 2.
You can't argue with that. There's reports that a police officer went up saw the shooter pointed the rifle at him, and he fell. Unbelievable stuff coming out of this. Secret Service failure at an unparalleled level. We have never seen a Secret Service failure like this since 81 with Reagan and then back to the 60s with JFK. Unparalleled failure. Let's go to Matt in Smyrna. Matt, what's up, man? What do you think?
Hey, man, what's going on? First of all, you have a platform that is 99% of an echo chamber. And you have to do some due diligence and stop this narrative of some type of conspiracy or inside job.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? First of all, no. First, no, don't put that on me. Don't put that on me. I literally just cautioned people against trusting an anonymous post from an alleged sniper on the air. So don't put that on me that I'm pushing conspiracy theories. Like Matt, I'll be perfectly honest with you, bud. Like I know that you always have different opinions, but like I'm not in the mood for you to be making up lies.
Hold on, but you started out that they tried to take him out. Did you not say that?
Did they not try to take Trump out on Saturday?
Hold on. Again, it's how you phrase it, man. It's how you phrase it. And this is what I get at.
So you just let's hang up on one word. The former president has been shot at, and you're going to focus on one word.
I'm going
after I said, be careful trusting everything you see on the internet. People have been sending me things too. Until we get confirmation, let's not go that way.
Again, what I'm saying is,
tell me.
It is a one person that was an idiot.
Do you think do you honestly believe that one person was smart enough to outsmart all of the Secret Service and police that were there on the ground?
Or maybe, or because hold on,
it's only one of two options. Either our Secret Service is absolutely inept, or there was a bigger plan going on.
I would say on this day at that hour they were inept because this man was shooting and don't even have a sniper rifle, not having even been trained. Not having
you're missing up the facts. He did train. He was a member of. He tried to join his school's rifle club. He was a member of a shooting club. Like no. He absolutely did train. Like there's you can't say that. And 130 yards. That's nothing crazy. If Trump didn't turn his head, Trump is gone.
Where's his exit strategy?
I'm sorry. Are we changing the subjects again? Are we changing the subject? No. Because this is what you do to me. This is what you do to me every time. I'll nail you on a point, and then you change the subject.
No, professionals would not have missed. Professionals would have got away. Professionals would have had everything planned with the Secret Service if it was a professional job. This was far from a professional job, and it was the failure of the Secret Service.
And I'm open to both of these possible scenarios, and I want to hear as much information as I can to form a well-rounded and informed opinion. But if you're just going to discount it outright, I think that you're the conspiracy theorist, Matt.
No, because again, if there was a so-called conspiracy theory, or this is what you're saying that happened, then hey, spend all the money to find out where it went wrong and go get everybody. Go get everybody, because we do not need, as citizens of this country, we do not need what happened on Saturday. I don't care about who you vote for. I don't care, but we do not need that.
I agree with that.
What's going to happen is it is slowly pitting one human citizen, American, against another. And this is what we got to stop. And by the way, this has been ratcheting up every year from the time of Scalise getting shot I think he got shot at the ballpark.
Yep, at the congressional baseball game by a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Okay, hold on a second. That has nothing to do with it.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It has everything to do with it, because it's the rhetoric of the left that conservatives are a threat to democracy and conservatives are extreme and they're going to take away our rights. And Donald Trump is a threat to America and he has to be eliminated. This is the rhetoric that gets pushed by the left. And then it wounds up their crazy supporters, and then we get something like this if it was a lone wolf actor.
Again, this is not a left or right issue. This is a human issue. This is a human issue. It's always been a human issue.
All right, Matt, appreciate the call. Thanks so much, man. Let's go to Dave in Hendersonville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Dave?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just disregard Matt's call. And Matt, you need to listen to this right here, brother. This is fact. You can look this up anywhere you want, but it's fact. And it's history. Every president that has been assassinated by a Democratic Party. Started out with the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. They killed him. Now, I don't know if the Democrats were behind the attempt on Trump's life, but there are some things that just don't add up. So you go from Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt. They tried to assassinate him. The bullet actually went and lodged in his chest. It went through his eyeglass case and his speech, and it lodged in his chest, and he went on to give his speech. And then you go to Kennedy. They killed Kennedy. His own party, the Democrats. They killed him. Let's hit Reagan. Right there, another Democrat. And now let's come on to Trump here. So, Matt, whether you can look it all up, the Summer of Love, that was Democrat, not Republican. And I'm not saying this as a lifelong Republican. Before Trump, I was a Democrat. But with that being said, I took and voted for whoever was the right person I felt at the time for the country.
Yep. I hear you, Dave. I appreciate your call, man. And it's like no matter how you try and frame this, and you'll use it to point back to conservatives with the rhetoric. Let's be honest. Who threatened the Supreme Court justices because they had different views to their party over abortion? Oh, that was Chuck Schumer. Who publicly told their followers to surround and harass any member of the Trump cabinet they see in public? Oh, that was a Democrat, Maxine Waters. Who called for physical violence against President Trump? Nancy Pelosi. Who raised funds to pay for the bail of BLM rioters? You know, the same guys that are arrested for vandalism and arson. Well, that was Kamala Harris. 6 days ago, who was it saying they needed to put a bullseye on their presidential opponent? Well, that was Joe Biden. The rhetoric is coming from the left. The failures on Saturday came from the Secret Service. 100%. The failures came from the Secret Service. And we're going to have more audio. I have tons of audio from Dan Bongino, a former U.S. Secret Service officer himself, and he is absolutely pissed. And rightfully so. We almost lost Trump on Saturday. We were centimeters away from losing 45 and 47. Centimeters. The bad news is they missed. And now, I mean, is November a sure thing at this point? Honestly. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at USS United Structural Systems. Listen, if you're having foundation issues in your homes, you're seeing cracks around your bricks, you're noticing the dirt separating from your foundation, these are red flags. And if you have foundation issues, there's only one place to call. It's my friends at United Structural Systems. They've been doing this work in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. I'm confident that you're going to be satisfied too. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to come to your home, they're going to check out the red flags and the warning signs, and they're going to come up with a custom solution for you. They won't leave until the job is done, and when they do leave, you're going to be satisfied, and they're going to leave you with a lifetime warranty, a warranty that they are so confident in, it will stay with your home even if you move. Who else does that? Only United Structural Systems. Give them a call today to help what's ailing your foundation. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 and online at ussTN.com.
Major breaking news in one of the federal criminal cases against former President Trump, and the latest on what we've learned about the attempt on his life coming up at 10 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 9:58 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump releasing a statement this morning. He said, as we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, this dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should be just the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts, the January 6th hoax in Washington, D.C., the Manhattan DA's zombie case, the New York AG scam, fake claims about a woman I never met, a decades-old photo in a line with her then-husband does not count, and the Georgia perfect phone call charges. The Democrat Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are an election interference conspiracy against Joe Biden's political opponent, me. Let us come together to end all weaponization of our justice system and make America great again. Well, I will point out, Trump does seem to be doing pretty well. I mean, he's making quips about, what's her, E. Jean Carroll? A decades-old photo in a line with her then-husband does not count. That's what he said about meeting her. Unbelievable. And Charlie Kirk just tweeting about the dismissal of the documents case. Today's ruling is a massive humiliation for AG Merrick Garland, already the worst AG in American history. Let's let the failures keep coming. Real quick, Barrett in White House, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Barrett?
Hey, Chris, this is Eric.
Oh, Eric. What's up, Eric?
Real quick, I want to bring two Democrat trying to take away Trump's Secret Service. I read up on some of that, and they're trying to pass legislation to remove his.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up there, Barrett, and I apologize, man. Yeah, there were attempts to take away Trump's Secret Service by Democrats. I have audio from Marjorie Taylor Greene laying out just that. And there is so much to get to here. Trust me, we're going to get to the part where they tried to get rid of his Secret Service. We're going to get to the part where it turns out it wasn't the normal Secret Service with Trump. Huh. Weird. The backups were in. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. A lot of coincidences. We'll discuss it after Ken Weaver's newscast, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got some hot days ahead, possibly exceeding the century mark. Then, hopefully, some relief. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Trump assassination attempt update and a major development in one of the federal criminal cases against the former president. Here's Sherry Preston.
This morning, a major move from the judge overseeing the federal classified documents case against former President Donald Trump. Judge Eileen Cannon throwing out the case. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky.
The judge fully agreed with former President Trump's defense attorneys that the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith by Attorney General Merrick Garland was unconstitutional. They said only Congress should be allowed to authorize the appointment of someone of Smith's stature, and only Congress is allowed to authorize the funding for an investigation.
The case centered on Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. No word from Trump's team yet, but some of his closest allies are described as ecstatic. This comes as the Republican National Convention is set to start later today in Milwaukee. The former president is there after a bullet pierced his ear at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, with more on that, Brian Clark, our team coverage continues.
The most glaring question after Saturday's shooting: how did someone get onto a roof and have a clear shot at former President Trump? Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said
a direct line of sight like that to the former president should not occur.
He told ABC's Good Morning America that's why President Biden's ordered an independent review.
We intend to be transparent with respect to the findings and recommendations.
He denied claims that his department rebuffed requests for more resources.
Politico reporting the Secret Service will privately brief lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee tomorrow as Congress investigates the attempt on Trump's life. Also, Oversight Committee Chair James Comer has invited, and apparently, according to reports, she has accepted the invitation. This is Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to testify publicly before his panel next Monday. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We are still breaking down the latest from the attempted assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. An unbelievable scene when Donald Trump emerged from the dog pile of Secret Service agents on top of him and pumped his fist in the air, yelling "fight," with blood streaming down his face. It was iconic. It was unbelievable. How did he get so lucky? I'm of the firm opinion that it was divine intervention, because it definitely wasn't intervention by the Secret Service that kept him safe. In fact, it was the failures of the Secret Service that put him in that danger to begin with. And there's a lot of open security questions. Dan Bongino, who's a former Secret Service officer himself, wants to know, where was the resources and all the tech that they're telling us about? Where was it deployed? That's what he wants to know. And I think that's what a lot of Americans want to know today as well. You want to give me a little audio?
So, again, open security questions right now. And this is why, again, I think the Secret Service, the PR, Anthony Guglielmi, has to be very careful about what they put out. You know, he says in his X post, and you can read it yourself, you don't need to hear it from me, that they deployed these extra resources and technology. Okay, well, which ones? You're telling me the best technology you have was deployed and you missed a shooter 130 yards? Say it was 200 yards. The Secret Service CS team, Pete, the counter sniper teams, and I'm not sure those two guys are Secret Service. We have to remember that we don't always, when we go to New York sometimes with high-level protectees, we'll use NYPD ESU counter sniper. So I'm not really sure either way, they'd still be briefed in. The question we have to ask is, if that's the best technology we have, and we had a CS team up there with a shooter that, we're trained out to 1,000 yards in the Secret Service with the counter sniper team. How did they miss someone at most, 1/5 of the way there? It doesn't make any sense. And even worse, it's broad daylight on a white roof.
It's broad daylight on a white roof. We've all seen the video going viral of the two snipers who are on the roof, and they appear to have sights on the shooter before he starts firing off shots. Now, this is to my untrained eye. So we're going to have an expert on in the 11 o'clock hour, Sergeant Betsy Brantner-Smith, who is the spokeswoman for a police union, and she's going to break it all down from her side, her expertise. But the craziest part about all this is you don't have to be an expert to realize there were huge failures. Dan Bongino says that it was Donald Trump that saved his own life, not the Secret Service.
Donald Trump knew to duck. I mean, most people would. He saved his own life. That's just a fact. The evacuation did not go right. I mean, the rule with the Secret Service is cover the protectee and evacuate. The other rule is maximum to the protectee, minimum to the problem. Why minimum to the problem? Because you don't know that's the only problem. It could be a distraction. There could be another person in the crowd. So if you don't jump on the protectee, you could be looking at multiple shooters. So at least that part, the guys there, stepped up there. But the failure here is absolutely catastrophic. And I got to tell you, the Secret Service should be very careful. I can tell you and absolutely confirm from the horse's mouth, from multiple people, not just one. And I saw Congressman Waltz text this out before on X. There have been repeated requests to increase the security footprint around not just the residences of Donald Trump, but the body itself. And they have been rebuffed. Like I said, I can tell you actual quotes. The Secret Service directors completely failed and candidly should resign today.
Yeah, do you think Kim Cheadle's going to resign today? She should. She absolutely should. Failures at every level. Failures. And the Secret Service Director, Kim Cheadle, she answers to Alejandro Mayorkas, who answers to Joe Biden. And I saw one report that one of the reasons that Trump didn't have as much resources on the ground was because, Joe Biden had an event. Yep. You heard me correctly. Jill Biden had an event. And so Secret Service resources were diverted to a Jill Biden event. Jill Biden. Okay. So, where was the Jill Biden event? Before former President Trump's rally in Butler, where, there was the assassination attempt, Secret Service resources were reportedly redirected to a Biden campaign event helmed by Jill Biden, as both the First Lady and Trump were in the same state at the same time. This decision was part of the Secret Service's protocol to treat Trump as a former president, despite him being the current frontrunner for president in the upcoming election. Two sources within the Secret Service community confirmed this decision, according to Real Clear Politics, White House, and national political correspondent Susan Crabtree. If you don't follow Susan Crabtree, you should. She has been on point with her coverage on Twitter. And she said she's reporting that there were a large number of supplemental agents from different fields providing security at Trump's rally because his regular detail had been overworked and his rally featured only 2 counter snipers. And the policy decision to divert resources away from the Trump rally, if proven to be true, comes as the Secret Service is facing the most scrutiny they've faced in quite a long time. The gunman was on a rooftop less than 150 yards away from the rally. The rooftop was identified as a high-profile area, a high risk. That rooftop was the only rooftop around, 130 yards away. And Susan Crabtree, again, she's reporting from a source inside the Secret Service community that Trump's usual protective service detail was worked so hard, working 7 days a week with no days off, that many of the agents assigned Saturday were temporary replacements from different field offices. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Kim Cheadle and the Secret Service have failed Trump. And as Bongino puts it, they failed Biden, too.
Kim Cheadle has failed Donald Trump and honestly failed Joe Biden, too. He's the president right now. Where's the DHS secretary? I mean, this is, you're blaming it on manpower? So just to be clear, we're a $4 trillion United States government and we can't fork over enough money to keep our people alive? And then you're sending out tweets like, oh, this is the best technology we have. Really? To let a sniper 150 yards away from the potential next president shoot a piece of his ear off? That's your victory lap? Give me a break, man.
Honestly. And there's been a lot of clips surfacing of Kim Cheadle talking about how proud she is of the DEI initiatives that she's put into the Secret Service. And Bongino brought this up as well. He was asked, is Kim Cheadle incompetent? Or is it the DEI hires? Or what's going on at the Secret Service?
Rachel, it's my job, if I'm going to give an opinion, to back it up. Opinions are like holes, right? Everybody has one. The difference between one opinion over the other in a courtroom and anywhere else is, can you back it up? I want everyone at home, go down your phone or computer now, and I want you to look up U.S. Secret Service, red ties, Donald Trump. Yeah, read it. The Secret Service was more concerned about protective agents around Donald Trump. If you think I'm making this up, go to a left-wing search engine if you think I'm biased. Go to Scroogle and put it, oh, you're reading a story right now. They were more concerned about the color of the Secret Service agents' ties around Donald Trump, given the perception that a red tie was somehow... I've got red ties. I'm a Republican. It has nothing to do with it. I just like red ties. They go nice with white shirts. That's an actual... Oh, you see it right now. I'm not crazy. This is what the Secret Service was concerned about.
That's what they were concerned about. And we see this so often in government agencies, especially under Joe Biden and this current regime. They're worried about pronouns. They're worried about appearances. They're not worried about doing the job.
They put out, 1,000 tweets about all of this DEI stuff. Do I know that's related here? I don't. I'm just saying, you have one job and only one job. Your job is keep the body alive no matter what. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the president of Djibouti, it doesn't matter. That is your job. They absolutely, resolutely, 100% failed. Not a single excuse should be made. Not a single excuse should be attempted. This should be the subject of congressional hearings and investigations, because if they can't do this, and this is the best technology you had, then folks, there's no purpose anymore. This isn't the agency I grew up in. It's not. I spent 12 years of my life there, and I'm telling you, I know some of those guys personally. These are good men and women. But this was an apocalyptic security failure. And don't ever forget, an uneventful failure is never a success. And the fact that Donald Trump didn't die yesterday is no reason for anybody to take some kind of victory lap.
Yeah, and the current director of the Secret Service, do you know what she was doing before she was head of the Secret Service? She was working for Frito-Lay and doing security for those guys. Honestly, yep. Guarding Fritos. PepsiCo. And then she gets into the job here as the head of the Secret Service, and, well, she just wants diversity.
So I think this agency does an extraordinary job of developing leaders. From a very early stage, we hire agents and officers, and we put them in positions of authority, and we enable them to make decisions, and that does develop some great quality leaders, and our agency is full of them. And I look forward to a day where we're able to talk about this agency and whoever is leading this agency and not have to distinguish, they're the second female or the fifth or the sixth, and that diversity is just part of this agency, and it's not even thought about.
I look forward to a day where we don't think about it either, but we're thinking about it today because of the monumental failure at the Secret Service. So every decision that Kim Cheadle has made is going to be under a microscope. Every single one. And you have one job. One job. But Kim Cheadle, she wanted to really bring DEI to the Secret Service.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season.
You know, it's amazing to hear that report, which is, a few months old now. That will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season. Well, she failed. She failed. And a lot has been made online about some of these women that were in the line of fire, and all the credit to them. They should be applauded for running towards bullets when they need to. But I wonder if anybody at the Secret Service said, hey, the woman that we're going to put in front of Trump to stop bullets is a foot shorter than him. Did anybody say that? I was listening to Brink Fiddler and Dan Mandis' interview. He's like, what about when Trump's butt touches the seat in his SUV, his armored SUV, it should have been gone. It should have been gone. The failures were numerous. Numerous. But Joe Biden just wants everybody to take a step back and calm down a little bit.
Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back. Take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers.
I mean, I agree. We should hold Corey and his family in our prayers. And again, the GoFundMe that they've created for those families, they had a goal of $1 million. It's at 3.7. I think everybody needs to push GoFundMe to take away the 17% service fee that they usually do for their fundraising campaigns. But Joe Biden says we need to take a step back. And then he says we don't know anything about the shooter.
Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support, or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions.
It's always convenient that Joe Biden takes his time to figure out the facts when it's a conservative who's coming under fire. In this case, the assassination attempt of President Trump. But if it was a racist or a boogeyman like that, well, we would have had all the information immediately, wouldn't we? That's usually how it works. And then Biden says we can't go down the road of political violence. And he uses this clip right here to turn it into a campaign speech.
Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions.
No, I agree. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, but the tone deafness of the president to bring up January 6th, the violent insurrection. Oh, yeah, the only person that was killed there that day was a conservative. He brings up the Gretchen Whitmer plot. Yeah, well, we've heard all about the FBI's involvement in that. We can't go down the road of political violence. Let me remind you about all the mean things conservatives have done in light of the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. That's what Joe Biden wanted to do there. What a slime ball. What a slime ball. He says, tone down the rhetoric and vote for me. Accepting no responsibility for the role that he played in the rhetoric. Unbelievable. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand here talking about the Glock store like I do every single day. Because, yes, the Glock store pays me to tell you how much I enjoy going there, but I'm really happy they do. It's good work if you can get it. But that's not why I go to the Glock store. And today's one of those days where you can understand the selfish reasons why I go. I want to know exactly what I'm purchasing. And I know when I walk into the Glock store, the people that are going to be helping me evaluate and choose my personal firearms are professional and most of all, knowledgeable. That's why I go to the Glock store. They have a whole counter in the back that looks like a gosh darn Apple store. They have a genius bar in the back for guns. I like that. I think you will too. And then when you want to go practicing, like I do, to protect myself, my family, my home, I do it in the Shoot 270 private shooting rooms with a trained professional instructor, not in a lane by myself next to who knows who. So really, why would I go anywhere else? Why would you go anywhere else? Stop by the Glock store, talk to the people, check out the shooting rooms, not because they pay me to tell you about it, but because once you discover the Glock store, it's going to be your new favorite one as well. That's the Glock store, a minute from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Lots of breaking news involving former President Trump's pick for VP, the special counsel's document case against him, and the attempt on his life at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 10:27 on Super Talk. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Joe Biden goes out there and addresses the nation last night, says we got to tone down the rhetoric. You know, it's weird because some of the celebrities that still hang out with him haven't toned down the rhetoric at all. Jack Black was at a concert in Australia, Sydney, Australia, and they made a birthday wish on stage.
Happy birthday to you. Make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time.
That's the left. Don't miss Trump next time.
It's been 48 hours.
Honestly. It was hours later when it was trending, they missed on Twitter. They missed. One job was trending. These people. Unbelievable. Steve in the borough, thanks for holding, man. What's up, Steve? What do you got?
Hey, normally this time I'd be saying thanks for taking my call, Brian, but today's a little more serious than that. And, it's I think I've told you before, I ran one of the longest running Trump rallies in America for 17 months every Tuesday morning out in San Diego, out in front of Congressman Ice's office. It was always three of us Trump supporters against 300 paid Democrats. And we had, 4 or 5 sheriff deputies out there every Tuesday morning. And they came over and said, we're not here because we're worried about the violence that you guys might do. We're here because we're worried about your safety with all these folks. We know their tendencies. And on Saturday, I was getting texts out like crazy right after the incident happened. But then on Sunday, I started getting lots of texts from some of my Democrat friends, some of my folks that are Biden supporters that were sending memes saying, shooter identified as Republican, shooter, identified, white male, and other memes saying he wasn't from Mexico, he wasn't from Somalia, they're really trying to go back to identity politics. And I truly believe that they need this guy to be identified as a Republican because they're scared of a civil war if it comes down to, all right, Democrats, you want to play this way? We got guns too. And I'm not at all.
But I don't think a civil war is going to happen. Did you notice there was no riots, no protests, no burning down cities last night or over the weekend in Butler, Pennsylvania? The conservatives don't do that. We just don't.
I agree with you, and that's why when we have memes like that and say we are different, we are different, and we respect this country. And I had made a post saying, he could literally hide out in his basement until Election Day and still have a landslide victory.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He won't. Yeah, but he won't, and that's why we love him. And the people coming out like, oh, you love this guy? You idolize this guy? No, I don't idolize the guy. I am also sometimes embarrassed by the 3 a.m. toilet tweets. And it's not the man that I'm so passionate about. It's the concept of a person who actually cares about our country, our kids, our grandkids. The things that took us 250 years to survive to this point are rotting away. And I don't know if we're going to have an America in 2250 if we don't do some course correcting now.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of folks see Donald Trump as the right guy to steer the ship. And it takes, they say a big cruise liner or, whatnot. It takes a long time to turn the ship around. And we need somebody who we can trust to be at the helm and to steer us back in the right direction and get us back on the path of doing what's best for America. And, people always, try to say, oh, the MAGAs. Well, tell me what's wrong with that. What's wrong with trying to do what's best for our country versus what have we seen in the last 3 to 4 years with up to 20 million people allowed to cross our border? What possible goal could they have? And I think that's one of the reasons that, we're seeing the black vote turn around is because they realize that they're trying to replace them as a voting bloc.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Steve.
Million people.
And I appreciate your call. One thing I will comment on is you said, the shooter was registered as a Republican. I'll point out closed primaries in Pennsylvania. He also donated to a leftist organization after Joe Biden was elected. It's 10:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And the news involving former President Trump this morning. Several stories. Trump telling Fox News he will make his vice presidential pick today. Meanwhile, the special counsel's classified documents case against the former president dismissed. The ruling by Judge Eileen Cannon accepts the argument that special counsels have no power to bring indictments because they've not been nominated by a president and confirmed by the Senate. And Trump assassination attempt. Politico reporting Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle has agreed to testify publicly to the House Oversight Committee next Monday as Congress investigates the attempt on Trump's life. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
That was the scene Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's 10:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Unbelievable images and video coming out of Pennsylvania. The questions are endless. How did he get on that roof when people were screaming, there's a guy with a gun going up to the roof? To the police and Secret Service and attendants. I want to know, they found his car a little ways away with explosives in it. How did he walk from his vehicle with a rifle to the roof without being spotted? How?
Well, he was spotted by citizens, just not the most important people that need to know.
Many citizens spotted him. Many citizens.
I saw it for 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, like you were talking about in that BBC interview. There was 20 Secret Service agents running around like chickens with their heads cut off in that field. And you're telling me snipers on the barn can't see this guy 100 yards? Doesn't add up to me.
No, a sniper on a white roof while people are screaming, there's a guy up there with a gun. Doesn't add up to me either. And as the day goes on, we just keep getting more and more news. Trump is reacting to the documents case dismissal. The classified documents case has been dismissed.
We just got off the phone with the former president, and he said this: I am thrilled that a judge had the courage and wisdom to do this. This has big implications, not just for this case, but for other cases. The special counsel worked with everyone to try to take me down. This is a big deal. It only makes this convention more positive. This will be an amazing week. He said again and again that this was a big decision. He pointed to, Justice Thomas and the questioning in the Supreme Court on this very issue about the special counsel, but seemed to indicate that he thought that this would have implications for other cases.
And it may. We're also hearing news that the VP pick could be announced today. Reports are saying that it will happen today, and I'm hearing through some of my sources that it could be around 2:30 our time when it is announced. I got a bunch of people waiting on the line that want to weigh in on the events that have transpired. If you want to weigh in, 615-737-9986. Let's go to Joe in Lebanon real quick. Joe, you're up on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, just to go to the end of this thing real quick, the Secret Service or whoever they were that were up on the roof that evidently couldn't see this guy, it is absolutely impossible for someone to locate a shot, to move your weapon to that direction, to dial in your range, and take a kill shot as quick as they did to take the shooter out. It takes a little bit to locate this guy. Of course, we all know they saw him up there, I think, because people in the crowd saw the shooter. A lot of people, the police officers saw the shooter. I would propose to you this, that if our government or whoever it was going to set this thing up, that these shooters that shot the shooter had explicit instructions to, number one, don't shoot him before he takes a shot, and as soon as he takes a shot, he is not to get off that roof under any circumstances. You take him out. I think we got to be looking at the fellow who took the shot that took this guy down.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of questions. Like, I don't want to jump into the government set him up right away. Like, I don't think that's the right move. But there are so many questions about the failures here. And you said, it would take some time for them to locate the guy and get a beat on him and all that. But you see the commotion in that crowd back there. I would imagine that a trained professional, if it really was 3 to 4 minutes of witnesses on the ground yelling and signaling to police that there's someone on the roof, 3 to 4 minutes, wouldn't that be plenty of time to notice a commotion and kind of figure out what's going on there?
It smells rotten, and this is just something I want to throw into the mix because the guy that took the shot, is a guy, a past military guy and a gun guy. When you hear a shot, you don't immediately know where it comes from. It's very hard to locate it. You don't do it in seconds, and it would be a miracle if you could locate the shot and take the guy out as fast as he did. It amazed me when I heard the commotion that was going on. I heard him say, the shooter's down, the shooter's down. It's like, well, how did they take the shooter down? Was he right there behind the stands and they saw him and shot him? I mean, how do you do it that quick? You don't. But you can't let this guy get off the roof if it was a setup, because he's a witness. And we can look back at past assassinations and know that there's usually a patsy, and the patsy doesn't come out of it alive. They take him out, and I'm just throwing this out there that, maybe we need to look at the guy that took the shot. Was he a Secret Service guy? Who was he? Maybe he is the best marksman in the world and has the best reflexes, but, why didn't they see him before? Why didn't they do it then? Why did they let him shoot and then take him out? I think to go to the end of this and maybe work back is another way to look at it, just throwing that out there.
No, and I appreciate your call. I mean, I think that there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And one of the things that bothers me is that the people that are going to be doing the investigations, well, do we trust them 100%? Like, that's the thing that's the scariest part about all this. Even if they come out and they have an up-and-up investigation and they nail it and they give us exactly what we asked for and we get all the info, there's still going to be questions. Because the trust in these institutions has been eroded for years and years now. So the questions aren't going anywhere. They have to hit these questions head on. They have to. Because the more they try to avoid these questions, the more questions it's going to cause. 100%. Let's go to Rick on the phone. Rick has a comment on Trump. Rick, you're next on Super Talk. What's up?
Good morning, Chris. Great show as always. You never disappoint, my friend.
Hey, appreciate you.
If I have time for my comment, Caller Matt needs to triple down on his anti-menopause medication, man. And I'll leave that there.
Okay.
Chris, in answer to the Mount Rushmore monument, I would love to see a Mount Toughmore erected.
Oh, I like that.
Consisting of Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, and Donald J. Trump. What do you think?
I think you're missing Reagan, but I like the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And if I have time, I had a long career in law enforcement. If a report is true that a local police officer climbed that rooftop, the shooter pointed his rifle at him, and he went back down, my goodness.
So the report I heard was that he climbed up to the rooftop and then he fell. I don't know if you've seen something different, but I would imagine if you're just climbing up there and you're like, oh, I'll go take a look, and then you poke your head up and all of a sudden you see a gun turned to you, that would be pretty startling, right?
Well, I hope he fell. I hope it explains it. Because if he went back down in fear of the kind of point, why did he not? If it is a robbery, but there are so many, like you say, there's so many questions out there.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that report, I initially read it and took it as he fell, and that made the most sense to me. Like, you'd kind of get up there, you poke your head over the ledge, and you're like, whoa, and then you fall. That's kind of how I took it, but I could be wrong. Everything's been developing so fast. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, look here. I want you to start a Mount Toughmore campaign.
I love the Mount Toughmore. I love the idea for Mount Toughmore. We just have to find a fantastic state for it. I think we could do something in Tennessee.
I think so too. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate you, Rick. Let's go to Bob on line 6. Bob, you're next on Super Talk. What's up?
Well, besides President Trump being alive today, I think we should also be grateful or whatever. We finally got an answer to why they couldn't find the cocaine in the White House, because our Secret Service.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's probably you're probably onto something, Bob.
We are. Okay, thanks, buddy.
Hey, appreciate you. Let's go to Steven in Paris. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Chris. Hey, I just want to, I don't think this is some kind of conspiracy theory or this young, pissed off, driven by hate from the Democratic Party, like you say. That's what their narrative has been, and it's just fueling too much hate in our youth today. I don't think, I I don't think this is going to be the last attempt for an assassination on Trump. I think there's probably more plans for this, but also there's just a lot of messed up kids in our society today from what we see what's going on and everything. And I hope this is a wake up call for Trump and everybody else that's at those rallies, that we definitely need more security. I'm glad that the guy was taken out. Sorry for the guy that lost his life and the guy that was injured, but we should be using like drones. We should be using every technological advantage that we have during these rallies and stuff, man. Everybody needs to realize that there's a bunch of messed up people in this country during this time right now, and got to be more careful. But
I mean, we wouldn't need the high tech stuff if we just put a body on the roof, the one roof with a clear line of sight to the president's stage. You put an officer up there.
Yeah. I recognize what Trump tweeted about. It was God alone. I believe that. I believe that the graces of God, the Holy Spirit, turned his head right when that bullet came whizzing by. If you notice, his head made a quick reaction and turned to the right, and it was just enough space to let that bullet miss him. I think it was an act of God that did that.
Oh, I completely agree with that, and even down to like the fine details of that moment. He called up a graphic on the screen earlier than he was kind of like scheduled to in his remarks, and so he turned to reference it. If he doesn't call that up earlier, if he doesn't turn his head all the way to look at it, like. There's so many what ifs, and we were centimeters away from having a different conversation today.
Amen, man. Praise God.
Yep. Every day.
Alive.
Every day. Appreciate the call, Stephen.
All right.
Trump did do an interview with Harris Faulkner before his rally in Pennsylvania, and some of those clips are starting to come out now. This is before the assassination attempt, and he told Harris Faulkner, I'm running against more than Biden. I'm running against the bad policies of the radical left.
Vice presidential pick. Are you close?
I'm very close. I'm very close.
Does it matter if it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or someone else on the Democratic ticket in terms of it's a woman, it's a person of color, any of those types of issues? Does it matter who you choose as your VP?
You have people that are very smart people. They say it does. I say it doesn't. They say, it depends on what's going to happen, who you're going to pick. I don't think so. You're going to pick a great person, you're going to run. The other thing I've noticed, if you look, I don't want to belittle it because it's a very important position, especially if something bad should happen, but that's the most important, if something bad should happen. There was one time, as students of this, you and I are, Lyndon Johnson helped a lot with Illinois, but that was a different kind of a help. He was a wheeler dealer. I don't think it matters who I'm running against. I'm running against more than Biden. I'm running against bad policies of the radical left.
Do you think it changes the VP equation now that Trump has had an assassination attempt on his life? Do you think that changes the equation for Donald Trump? One of the things that they always say is we got to get somebody behind Trump just in case something happens. But we need somebody that will bring just as much fear to the left as Trump does in case something happens. Well, that in case something happened almost just happened. So does it change the calculations? Is a Doug Burgum the right guy? Is a Tim Scott the right guy? I'd love to know what you think about that. 615-737-9986. We got a roster full of phone calls ready to go, and I'll take more of your calls next. Hang out with us. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. All month long for July, they have a fantastic deal for you. I always talk about the Beehive Club membership, and I'm like, listen, it's not that much. It's only $99. You get a lot of value. But in July, it's half that because you can get one and get one free. Buy one, get one free for all Beehive Club memberships, as long as it's somebody in your neighborhood. So find a neighbor and go in on halves, or just gift it to a neighbor that you really like. Because with the Beehive Club membership, you get so much value. 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, which is huge. I mean, if it's a hot day and you need somebody to come fix your AC, being at the front of the line is clutch. You also get a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. The guys who I trust with my AC are over at Busy Bee. Busy Bee's your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybehvac.com.
Got major breaking news, and all of it involves former President Trump. From the special counsel document case to the attempt on his life, we'll have it for you at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wow, more Trump headlines. Who could have seen that coming? I'm being sarcastic, obviously. It's been an unbelievable few days for the Trump campaign. And as we go into this week, we're going to find out his VP pick today. We're having the classified documents case dismissed. We have the RNC. Secret Service was asked if the RNC is going to have any kind of security changes because of the assassination attempt. Here's their answer.
Have you had to change your security posture at all here? And if so, how? Is it a small percent change? Is it looking at over everything once again? And then the follow-up question would be, just in terms of resources, I know you mentioned 18 months has been going into this. Do you feel like you've had all the resources you've needed to get to this point today, or do you feel like more can also be done?
So as Mayor Johnson and Chief mentioned, this is a national special security event. That designation is the highest level of security designation that the federal government can determine. So we are confident in these security plans that are in place for this event, and we're ready to go. It's been an 18-month process. We've worked together over that 18 months to develop operational security plans for any and all aspects of security related to this event.
But did it change within the last, has any change been made in the last 24 hours?
We're not anticipating any changes to our operational security plans for this event.
Thank you.
No changes to the operational security plan. That's interesting. I have friends on the ground, and they're telling me it's a lot tighter than they had thought it was going to be, or that RNCs in the past have been. But Secret Service says no changes. We're going to talk to an expert, Sergeant Betsy Brander-Smith. She's joining the show after Ken Weaver's newscast to break down exactly what the failures were of the Secret Service and what we can expect moving forward. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, the major news involving former President Trump this morning. There's lots of it. First, Trump telling Fox News he will make his vice presidential pick today. And Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida dismissing the classified documents case against former President Trump. Here's Aaron Katursky.
The judge fully agreed with former President Trump's defense attorneys that the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith by Attorney General Merrick Garland was unconstitutional. They said only Congress should be allowed to authorize the appointment of someone of Smith's stature, and only Congress is allowed to authorize the funding for an investigation.
Yeah, the former president issued a statement to Truth Social that reads, as we move forward in uniting our nation after the horrific events on Saturday, this dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should be just the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all the witch hunts, end quote. Trump assassination attempt, Politico reporting Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle has agreed to testify publicly to the House Oversight Committee on Monday, that's next Monday, as Congress investigates the attempt on Trump's life. Money news. Amazon Prime Day kicks off tomorrow, and new data out today indicates lots of people are going to be buying things online this week, not just from Amazon, but other retailers that will be offering sales.
When Amazon holds a Prime Day event, other retailers take advantage of the willingness among online shoppers to shell out their money. New data from Adobe Analytics predicts Prime Day will drive a record $14 billion in online spending on Tuesday and Wednesday. Vivek Pandya is Adobe's lead insights analyst.
The online digital economy is actually quite favorable to the consumer right now. We've seen prices come down.
Adobe expects electronics and back-to-school items to be among those with the biggest discounts.
That's Alex Stone reporting, and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
If Donald Trump didn't turn his head, his last words on this earth would have been, if you want to see something really sad. Unbelievable. Joining us now on the Newsmaker Hotline is Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith. She is the spokesperson for the National Police Association. Sergeant Brantner Smith, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you calling in on such short notice. How are you doing today?
Hey, it's great to be with you. Hey, I'm great. I'm still so stunned every time I hear that audio or see the videos. So grateful that President Trump is okay. So sad for the family that lost a dad and a husband. Just crazy times.
Yeah, it is sad for the family of Corey Contempore and his family, and hearing his daughter's statement is heartbreaking. What was your initial reaction as you saw the news unfolding in real time?
Well, we were listening to it in real time and then watching it, of course. And both my husband and I, we're both police trainers, we were stunned to see this unfold in the way that it did. And, of course, there was heroic actions by law enforcement, by the Secret Service agents on stage. But now we're learning about some catastrophic failures of the Secret Service, who was in charge of this. And, they're on a zero-fail mission. And they have not had a failure like this in 43 years. And I wish that Kimberly Cheadle, the director, would come out and go before the media, go before the cameras, and talk about everything that she can talk about without jeopardizing the investigation, and be more transparent with the American people.
What were the failures that you saw as you were watching the scene kind of unfold?
Well, it is unbelievable to me that a young man with a rifle could get that close and up onto that rooftop and be so close to the stage. There's a lot of conflicting stories. One of the stories I want to dispel is this narrative that local law enforcement acted cowardly in not confronting the shooter. We all saw the videos of those people who said, we told the deputies there, or officers, that there was a guy on the roof. 2 police officers climbed up onto that roof, one on top of the other. One boosted the other up onto the line of sight of that roof to be able to see the shooter, and we're told the shooter turned around and that police officer ducked down, and because he's standing on the shoulders of another police officer, he fell, and that's when the assassin took his shots. There was no cowardice by local law enforcement. I also want to say that the Secret Service, it sounds like their spokesman is trying to blame local law enforcement for the perimeter fails. I have been on those details. The whole thing is in the hands of the Secret Service. The buck stops with them. So the blame game needs to stop and transparency needs to begin.
So walk me through it. If you were going to go case that scene for security purposes, what are you looking for and what did they miss?
Well, what you're looking for is, of course, inner and outer perimeters. Where is your protectee going to be? In other words, where is President Trump going to be? Not just when he's on the stage, but, of course, as he's coming up, getting off, all those kind of things. Roof tops are very important in details like that. This is a Trump rally. People know how this goes. He's done many of them. And you want to deny access to any of those rooftops, and you also want, we had our own people, we law enforcement had federal and local counter snipers and observers on those rooftops who really should have seen the young man moving. Presumably They had air support, whether it's drones or whatever, that should have seen that as well. And this needs to come out in the investigation. How did somebody get up on a roof? Again, for 50 years, building rooftops have been top of mind for the Secret Service in this kind of detail.
Well, and I wonder how he made it across the street from his vehicle and then over to the building while carrying a rifle and not raising any eyebrows.
And you're absolutely right. How does he walk from his vehicle? You know, we've all seen the aerial photos now. It would have not been difficult to further tighten up that entire area. But I want to remind people of this. For the last 4 years, the American law enforcement officer has been vilified and demonized, and most police departments in this country are short-staffed. Was there enough staffing for local law enforcement to be able to shut down a large enough area, or are they short-staffed because the same politicians and activists who are calling Donald Trump a Nazi and a fascist and saying that if he gets re-elected, we're going to lose our entire nation, those are the same people very often that demonize and vilify police officers and make cops leave and make the profession uninteresting to young people. So we as Americans need to dial down the rhetoric, not just political rhetoric when it comes to candidates, but we need to stop demonizing the American law enforcement officer.
What are you hearing, and I'm piggybacking on your short staffing, what are you hearing about the Secret Service not having the regular detail for Trump and that it was kind of like the backup squad?
We're hearing denials from the Secret Service about that, but we are hearing a lot of credible sources indicate that that's true, and that's why Kimberly Cheadle needs to get in front of a microphone and be upfront with the American people. Now, she has said she is, of course, cooperating with the investigation. The FBI is doing the investigation. Now there's going to be, it looks like, an independent investigation, and the legislature is getting involved. But this is media relations, public relations 101. The head of the agency in any infamous situation like this needs to be in front of the public and needs to be upfront. And it's okay to say, I can't share those details with you, but here's what I can share. I think that would go a long way to calming people down, because conspiracy theories flourish in a dark atmosphere like this.
100%. It's like, hey, we don't want any conspiracy theories and we're not going to answer any questions. It's like, well, now I have more, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. They need to be upfront.
What do you know about Kimberly Cheadle's background? A lot of people are pointing out that she was the former head of security for PepsiCo and Frito-Lay. What is her background?
She was a Secret Service agent, and in fact, she was on the executive protection detail. She wasn't, I know I've seen some media outlets who say that, she came from PepsiCo. She had retired and taken that job and then got brought back to run the agency. She's not the first woman to run this agency, but she now infamously did an interview talking about how it was her number one goal to bring more women and minorities to the Secret Service. In other words, DEI.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a woman cop. I got hired in 1980, not because I was a woman, but in spite of it. And so to say that we're going to get more diverse people and that's going to be my number one goal, that is so wrong. That's why DEI is so wrong. Your number one goal is to not get your protectees shot. She needs to go back to that.
Yeah, and here's the audio in question of Kimberly Cheadle saying that DEI is what she wants to bring to the Secret Service.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season.
It kind of makes me chuckle when they say that workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, and we look at what's unfolded during the 2024 campaign season.
There is a nationwide initiative, that's what she's referring to, called 30 by 30, 30% women in law enforcement by 2030. We are only about 10% of law enforcement now, and that has stayed steady for at least a decade. We should not be hiring people because of their sex or their race or their sexual orientation or any other criteria other than their ability to do the job. That gets us in trouble. It's getting us in trouble in the American military, and it's going to get us in trouble in law enforcement if we don't put DEI aside and go back to hiring qualified human beings.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the things that jumps out to me. You see the portions of them trying to get him off the stage, and one of the female Secret Service agents bends over to pick up a hat and bends over to pick up sunglasses. Is that the time or the place to be doing that?
Now, let me say that female agent who was trying to put her sunglasses back on and scooped to pick up that hat, that's Donald Trump's hat. That's the hat he was wearing. A, that's evidence. B, I'm going to guess that hat is going to be really important to him. But she did exactly what she was supposed to do, shielding him, all of that. She's actually been with him for a while. Now, I know there's a couple of other female agents, one in particular with the swinging ponytail, which I teach my students is an absolutely stupid thing to do. We call that a drunk handle in patrol. You don't have a swinging ponytail. You need to not panic. We call that condition black. We saw a little bit of that. Is that because they're women, or is that because they weren't trained well? I'm sure there were mistakes made by men as well. But again, Kimberly Cheadle said that her priority was DEI, 30 by 30. Her priority needs to be her protectees.
Well, one of the things that did stand out to me, and it's not just because this agent was a woman, but the woman that was in front that did pick up the hat, she's about a foot shorter than Donald Trump. So if you're trying to shield him from bullets, is that who you want going in there to protect him at that point and stand directly in front? Like, how does that protocol work, and how do you decide who goes where?
Well, a big part of that decision is by the protectee themselves. Who do they feel comfortable with? Who do they want around them? And again, I am told that she is one of the people that Donald Trump wanted around him, wanted on his detail. This is a really intimate relationship that a protectee has with their Secret Service or their private security. He has both. And he wants people, presumably, that he is comfortable with. Is she small? Yeah, she's about, I'm about 5'5", and I think she's about that. And but again, look at what she and the other agents were doing. Remember, they knocked him down so hard he came out of his shoes. That's why he was looking for his shoes. And they bravely use their bodies, and you see her do it too. That's why, he needs to be crouched down. He didn't follow protocol. He wanted to get back up, and he did. You're not going to tell Donald Trump no.
Fair enough.
And now we all have that iconic picture, and we all have that feeling of, man, this guy is never going to give up. He's going to keep fighting for the country. So we really have to admire that. And even the Secret Service isn't going to control Donald Trump.
Well, and I have one more question for you. You mentioned investigations are going to be going forward. How can they do an investigation that the American people will trust, given the distrust that conservatives have for organizations like the FBI?
It's going to have to be somebody other than the FBI. I don't know how else to say that. And, again, for the last 4 years, we've been hearing when we have these high-profile police shootings, you hear people say, well, how can a law enforcement agency investigate itself? This is an international historic incident, and I don't think the federal government should be solely responsible for investigating itself. There needs to be a commission or some sort of independent investigation to occur, and the information needs to be shared because of what you and I just talked about. Conspiracy theories continue to flow unabated because there's no information.
At this point, what does your gut tell you happened? Do you think that this is lone wolf? Do you think that this is something more organized? What's your initial reaction with your training?
5 years ago, I would have told you that that I do think it's absolutely a lone wolf, and that we'll find all that out. Now, I really believe that anything is possible, but I'm hopeful we're going to find out that this was just a kid who was radicalized by, again, all the hate speech, all the rhetoric that Donald Trump is going to take down the country, and he felt that he needed to, take the war to the enemy being Donald Trump, because he's been told this on social media and et cetera, et cetera. But again, we need to have a clean investigation, and we need to have transparency.
Well, we're talking with Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith. She is the spokesperson for the National Police Association. Is there anything else that you want to say before we conclude our call as in regards to what we witnessed on Saturday?
I just want to mention that President Trump, the first statement that he made after this incident was to thank law enforcement and thank first responders. And every cop I know is so appreciative to hear that, because very often they get vilified or blamed or things like that. So everyone is so appreciative, regardless of political party, to hear the president thank law enforcement and thank the first responders.
Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, she's the spokesperson for the National Police Association. Thank you so much for coming on today, short notice, to kind of give us your take with your experience. I really appreciate you.
Always great to be with you.
All right, we'll do it again soon. It's 11:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A lot of breaking news involving former President Trump, from a federal judge's decision to the attempt on his life and another Nazi march in downtown Nashville. These stories and more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:27 on Super Talk. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget, if you missed any of the interviews, any of the show, you can always catch it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The shows are always put up there, so you can share them with your friends. If you missed our interview with Sergeant Betsy Brentner Smith, she's fantastic. You can definitely go check that out on the podcast, share it with your friends. We'll have that up there shortly. Vivek Ramaswamy, he was asked about his thoughts after the potential assassination of Donald Trump, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And Vivek said, you know, what a lot of us think, God intervened.
What's going through my mind now, first of all, is we heard the story of that person, an innocent, enthusiastic rally goer who was shot and killed. First, our heart goes out to them and our condolences goes out to that family.
Amen.
But I should say this, Trace, is that I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country. If you think about this, 1 centimeter's distance in the path of a bullet was the future of not only Donald Trump's life, but I think the life of the United States of America. Imagine what we would be talking about today were it not for a hair's length difference in the path of a bullet. And I think that that's frightening. And I think that this is a moment for us all to step back. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, voting for Biden, voting for Trump, it doesn't matter. This is a moment where if one positive thing comes out of this otherwise near tragedy, let it be this, that first of all, we saw a president, a commander-in-chief, who in his most vulnerable moment, you saw it unvarnished. He stood up, he took the fire, he took the hit, and still stood up for the people who he stepped up to represent. And I think the other thing we have to take away is that this is unacceptable in the United States of America. This is not who we are. Disagree or not, we settle our differences peacefully through free speech and open debate, not this way. And so if one silver lining comes out of tonight, let it be that. And I hope that we begin the process of healing as a country while avoiding what could have been a national disaster that really, without exaggeration, could spell the end of the United States as we know it had this gone a different direction.
Yeah, and national disaster is almost an understatement. What we almost witnessed Saturday was insane. And the fact that Trump survived that is even more insane. Vivek Ramaswamy goes on to say, people that were afraid to support Trump before this, well, they're not afraid anymore.
Well, look, I'll give you a couple of tidbits that I've experienced even in the last few hours. I've had CEOs across the country from different corridors that would have been previously afraid to state their support for Donald Trump, or maybe even personally tepid about it, now coming in and asking, how can I help? I'm all in. These are exactly words of people who have contacted me alone in the last several hours, and I'm sure that's true of people across the country. The reality is I don't want to make this political tonight. This is not the moment for that. I will say that President Biden, who ran on the platform of uniting the country, had an opportunity even tonight to really rise to the occasion in a way that he fell short. I don't say this is criticizing him as a Democrat, but somebody who was rooting for a president to rise to the occasion immediately and not only offer the usual ritual incantation, the ritual condemnation of political violence. Yeah, we got that. But a deeper, heartfelt sense to say that, you know what, this is a man who I'm running against, But it is wrong that this should happen to anybody, and this is not who we are as Americans. And if I, as a U.S. president, have failed to create this environment in this country, then I will own that because the buck stops with me as the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, Biden owning something. Good luck. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get to your calls next. Mike, Pam, Sean, Hansy, I see you guys have been waiting for a long time. We'll get to your calls after Ken Weaver's newscast, which happens right now.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes, and the Republican National Convention kicking off today. A lot of breaking news. Here's Brian Clark.
As Republicans gather in Milwaukee to nominate Donald Trump for a third straight election, they learned that Judge Eileen Cannon dismissed the classified documents case against him. She ruled the appointment of a special counsel usurps Congress's authority. Trump is expected to name a running mate at some point today. Meanwhile, the investigation into Saturday's attempted assassination continues, as does the search for a motive.
Here in Middle Tennessee, a fight broke out during a march of what appeared to be Nazis in downtown Nashville yesterday. A 19-year-old bar employee and a member of the group marching were arrested for fighting. Police say the bar employee hit in the face and ribs with one of the Nazi flagpoles. The Johnny Cash bar employee was arrested on misdemeanor disturbing the peace charges, while one of the marchers, 29-year-old Ryan Scott McCann of Ontario, Canada, was booked for felony assault. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics, for real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests, organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice.
Right.
And now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
They called Tucker Carlson a conspiracy theorist for that just months ago. Call him Tucker-damus. I mean, and we could all see that this was coming. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1137. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. I am sharing and posting all of the latest information as it becomes available. This is the busiest news cycle I have ever seen, and it's the craziest news cycle that I've ever been a part of here at Super Talk, clearly. But we have the RNC happening, an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. We have the classified documents case for Donald Trump being dismissed. And we have everyone on the left saying, guys, we got to tone it down. Tone it down. I know a lot of people don't want to tone it down. A lot of people are rightfully angry. And they should be. There were major security lapses in protecting Trump yesterday. Many coincidences. And I want to take your instant reaction on it as well. 615-737-9986. Mike in Morrison, thank you for holding, sir. You're up next.
Yeah, I got several points. One, it was definitely divine intervention there with Trump.
Oh, how else could you describe it any other way?
And the Democrats are lying through their teeth. They're saying that Trump never requested extra security, which is plain crap. And they better thank God that they missed, because if they hadn't, every redneck and hillbilly in the hills would be gearing up for war right now.
I don't even want to think about that kind of stuff. It is nothing short of a miracle that Donald Trump survived that assassination attempt. Nothing short of a miracle. Divine intervention. Centimeters. Unbelievable. Sean in Lebanon, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking the call again. Good to talk to you again.
Absolutely.
I called earlier. I had to hang up, but when it comes to the Secret Service statements, and I know we all have our hesitant nature with them, but Anthony Googly Emmy, however you say, we just called him Google Me. He was originally the spokesperson for the Chicago Police Department.
Okay, and let me just give a background on you, Sean, because I know we talk all the time and I know it, but just for everybody else that doesn't know, Sean is a former Chicago police officer, correct?
Correct, yeah. I retired as a lieutenant after 27 years and worked in many different capacities up there.
Perfect. I just kind of want to give the background on you so people kind of get a more clear picture of where you're coming from.
I appreciate it. So when it comes to, and especially in light of this past weekend, the statements that are going to come out from the Secret Service, and again, we have our issues with the FBI right now. Unfortunately, this is going to be no different. I had been involved in many situations up in Chicago when he was the spokesperson, and have listened and read and watched the briefings, and I was like, what freaking incident are they talking about? Because I was there, and this is nowhere near what they're talking about, I get that they're not going to put out sensitive stuff to the investigation, but the stuff that they were spinning even back then in Chicago was unbelievable, and unfortunately, I got a feeling this is going to be worse.
Yeah, what did you see, given your law enforcement background, as just immediate red flags that should have been handled?
I hate doing that, because I've seen too many coppers over the course of my career. Unfortunately, a lot of them were tied to officer-involved shootings. We are the first as a profession to complain about the Monday morning quarterbacking, let the investigation play out. And as a police officer, I say that as a citizen, of this great country in the state of Tennessee, I have questions as a citizen, and again, Donald Trump, former President Trump, is not probably the easiest person to deal with, because he has what he wants to do. me personally as a citizen, I would have wanted them off the stage quicker. But, again, we're not tied into their communications. When they enhanced some of the audio, it sounded like they had a hold order. So, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback. And I listen to Betsy, and she's very, very knowledgeable, very talented, as is her husband. I know them. I don't like doing that. I think whatever failures could possibly be identified, whenever it comes to light and Congress does their hearing or whatever they're going to do, I'm going to lay pennies to dollar that it's going to be at the higher end, just like with the FBI. There's many good agents out there, as there are Secret Service agents, and, the problems that they have, and I hate calling them systemic problems, but it's going to be in the hierarchy of the agency and not maybe necessarily in the field office.
Got you. Well, hey, man, I appreciate your take. I really do, Sean. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, let's go to Pam in Nashville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Pam?
Well, your favorite independent person out here in Nashville. My goodness, so much has happened between the last time we spoke and now.
Are you a registered Republican yet, Pam?
Oh, now look, Look, we won't talk about that. But I do want to talk about this, that I'm very appreciative that you had Betsy on, because she answered questions that I had. And so it cleared up some things for me. Number two is Vivek. I think he eloquently put with his words how the way I was feeling when I was watching our current president, that whatever it was last night. I love it because I literally laughed out loud. He, in one breath, he says we got to tone down the temperature, and then you're bringing up J6. That's not because on both sides, left or right.
Did you say Vivek did that or Biden?
No, Biden.
Biden. Yep. It blew my mind. It blew my mind that he did that. We got to tone down the rhetoric. By the way, J6.
We're going to list all these things, right?
And the FBI Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot.
I don't know the facts of all those cases, right?
Yep.
I needed a comforter in chief, and what I got was, we're still going to talk about this, Commander-in-Chief, while I do my talking points.
What we got was the same guy who went in front of the victims of the Lahaina wildfires and said, I almost lost my house too.
I don't understand this man. I really don't. But one more thing, and I've got to leave because I know you've got other callers. But it was so this happened, and I went over to family's house for dinner the same night, and I just was speechless, okay? And it was to the tone of these really extreme left, like, what you missed and all that. And I was like, I had to take a breath before I answered what I heard. And they didn't say something like that, but it's like it's too bad type of thing, kind of rhetoric or talking points or whatever they want. And I said, we don't speak such things in the universe. No matter whether we like this candidate or we don't like this candidate, you don't wish ill will on someone,
Amen.
Right? That doesn't help heal the world. When you speak ill will to someone in the universe, it will come back to you. And I believe that God hears everything. Yep. And that's one of the things he says to, even here for this little independent, try to do our best here in Nashville, is to mind your speech, right? That is the very thing that always gets us into trouble, and then it follows by actions. So I say to anybody, my fellow friends, including you, Chris, I'm going to consider you a friend.
I consider you a friend, Pam.
That emotions are running high. So to take a step back and mind how our speech is, how we act, because that's the only way this world, our country, our world, everything's going to get better, one moment at a time. So I just wanted to say that, and I tell you what, I really like Vivek. I really do.
I'm telling you, Pam, I'm telling you, you're conservative and you don't know it.
Nah. Let me tell you what, if Tulsi Gabbard would have, could have made it. Oh man, That's my person. Anyway, have a great day.
So, Pam,
let's mind our speech.
Pam, are you voting for Trump in November?
I want to have the opportunity to vote against him, but then too, I don't know who I'm voting for. I'm like Professor Durwich. I don't know because I want more facts. I want more policy. I want more things, right? And I won't know, I think, probably until the day of. But I feel like that there does have to be a change because what we have is not working. Because like I told you before, I don't know whether they're trying to destroy or burn it all down and reimagine it into something better or for something in their image. I don't know. I do know that people are unhappy.
Yep.
And people need to be happy again. And so how do we do that on a federal level, right? So it starts with the state level, at the local level. You know, you go out and vote for those local, your local elections. And keep in contact. I keep in contact with my state representatives and things. And it starts at home, And the only way we're going to know, you've got to know, right now people are not happy. And how can we make this, our country, our state
I think what you're trying to say is how can we make America great again, Pam?
How can we make America happy again? How's that? I'll go that way, too.
It's a start. Appreciate your call. Thanks, Pam.
All right, take care. Bye, guys.
Hansy and Franklin, you're up next. What's up?
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just want to say I'll definitely vote for Trump in November. And if you vote, you will be great again, the Americans, and will be happy as well.
Where are you from? Where are you from, Hansy?
I'm originally from South Africa.
What do you think about this current state of the country with attempted assassinations on people running for political office?
That's crazy, man. That's what I want to talk, and I just want to. I watched the video of the guys, the snipers on the roof, and for me, I heard you said that the police was told there's somebody on the roof like 3 minutes before.
Yep.
The guy tried to take Trump out, but the police force and the guys on the roof, the snipers, they must have some sort of communication, right?
Yeah.
Because to each other, so they had to tell the guys there on the roof that there's somebody on the other roof, a guy who wants to shoot with a gun. So when I look at the video, the sniper was looking like aiming on somebody. So for me, 100%, he was aiming on the shooter and the other guy as well. And then the moment he took his head away from the scope, the shooter tried to kill Trump, and then he went back and killed the guy. So why didn't they kill him before? Because he must have known that the guy have a gun.
Yep. So
and he don't need the sniper who protect the president, Donald Trump. They don't have to have okay to shoot, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's been reports out there. And, viral internet clips of people claiming the opposite, but I haven't seen anything to corroborate those reports.
Yeah. So, and that's a thing that I think the people the investigation needs to talk to that guys on the roof who should have protect Trump. And the other thing is now, if they did shoot the guy before, kill the shooter before, then the other guy shouldn't, be dead now. He would have been alive as well.
Yeah. It's a crazy scene unfolding, and I appreciate your call. It's 11:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Real quick, before we go, I do want to play this audio. You remember Bishop Mari Emanuel? He's the Australian bishop who was, they tried to stab him. A younger terrorist tried to stab and kill him during a church service. Everybody remembers that story. He put out a video reacting to what happened with President Trump, and I just wanted to play this for you.
I pray for President Trump. I pray for him from the bottom of my heart. Mr. President, I pray that you're always healthy. May I be sick and you healthy. May I be weak and you strong. May I be fallen and you standing. I pray every plot that is done against you shall not prevail and be put to shame. And I pray that you are in that White House whether they like it or not. I pray for them. I pray for them. Thank God it was a scratch. But they tried to kill him. I had a feeling that this was going to happen. It wasn't a feeling. It was more so of a,
We all had that feeling.
But I probably would have mentioned it, but because of what happened to me as well, I sort of, was left. But I knew. But I knew they will not succeed. I knew they will not succeed.
11:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy in studio with me, Chris Hand. What's up, Murph?
Hello, Mr. Hand.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. We've got a big week ahead of us. We have a vice presidential selection being made today.
It's going to be made on Murphy Show, word is. I'm hearing 2:30. 2:30 our time.
I would love that.
Wouldn't that be
dentist
awesome?
hour. I love that. Yes, absolutely. So we've got that going on. We've got a reinvigorated president, or former president of the United States, soon to be official candidate for president of the United States. I'm as excited about the future of this country. I'm going to remain positive, and I'm going to remain excited about the future. But a lot of questions, obviously, as you've been asking all morning long.
We have to ask the questions, but I would say the word that I would use to describe today for me is grateful.
No
I
question.
am so grateful.
God is great. Divine intervention.
And I understand that there was, a man lost his life and people were injured, and that's so sad and heartbreaking because I've been to Trump rallies. You've been to Trump rallies.
Yep.
Nobody expects anything like that to happen, but it did. But luckily, they missed the target.
That's right. And busy show today. We've got a couple of guests from the congressional perspective. We've got a couple of people from Milwaukee. So we'll get you updated as to all of that going on starting at noon.
Matt Murphy's in next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.